When I was a little girl, my dad always had this big devotional book that he would bring out and read to me at night. And back then, it just seemed so big, just this great book, and I loved it whenever he got it out, and just loved hearing the stories from it. But it's now years later, now that I'm in college, and thinking back on those times, one of the main stories that I remember, and one of the only ones where I remember all the details to it, was the image of a woman, and she was leaving her past, and then on the next page it was just a pillar of salt. And of course it was the kids' version, like a cartoon depiction of it, but that always stood out to me. And it always stood out to me how she was in this moment of having to choose whether to keep going or to look back. And whenever she looked back, she turned into a pillar of salt. And it's now that I'm in college and away from home and away from familiarity and kind of experiencing all these new things that I realize what must have been going through her mind. Like, I might not be experiencing it as much as she was, but I understand why it was so hard for her to let go. I understand why in that moment she did look back, even though God was calling her somewhere else. And if I'm being honest, I've been in that moment here the past few weeks. It's so, even more than the past few weeks, for a while now, it's so hard to keep moving forward without missing what was behind you. And it's not that your past necessarily is bad and something you need to flee from, but it's not where you're supposed to be right now, and that's just really hard. And it's hard to not miss that. It's hard not to want to go back to where you were, or things that are familiar, or even sometimes things that you loved. It's hard to move on and not let go. And my heart, it has a hard time letting go of things. I hate change. I hate new things. Of course, I'm learning to love them as I'm in a completely new place, but I just wanted to encourage you all. There's a scripture in Hosea 8, verse 7. It says that they were investing in the wind and they were reaping the whirlwind. And that's exactly what I picture whenever I find my mind wanting to invest in the past, wanting to go back to things that I know God is calling me out of. It just ends up in a huge whirlwind of confusion and frustration. So below this video, there will be a link to kind of a more written, expanded version of this, but I wanted to encourage you guys that it's okay to let go, and it's okay to let the past slumber and just to let it sleep.